Hello. My brain today feels like but anywho, lately I have been really enjoying using strictly just the round brush on Procreate. My pencil is a round brush, my smudger's a round brush, my eraser's a round brush. I love it. I don't know why, I just feel like it's such a good brush to build form, and I've been really enjoying that. During that process, I created 4 beautiful pieces to share with you all today. They're already on my Instagram, but this will be the more in-depth walkthrough of how I did them. Thinking of doing like a little voiceover number, you know, keeping it classy, keeping it simple. That's what I've got going on today. I've really enjoyed this brush, and I'll go more into depth of why it works so well for my style when I'm, you know, getting into it. But I drew like 4 full body images from Pinterest references, and I think they came out so good. Like, I would want to make these posters, and I just might. But there's such use of bright colors, and the vibe is very apparent, and I'm really starting to feel my personal style come to life in these, and that's really exciting for me because that's kind of why I started this channel, why I'm doing art more, is to really find my groove, and I'm feeling like I'm finding it. So let's get into the process. Let's get into the process. Okay, so this first one here, I'm just building up the form in basic colors and flats of this character. Super chill looking guy, just looks super vibey. I like his socks, I like his beard. Very nice character to draw from Pinterest, so thank you for that reference. Just trying to figure out where things go. I'm really looking at the general shapes of each part of his body and outfit and hair. Everything, if you kind of squint enough or you look at it a certain way, everything is based in a certain shape. Like his legs are triangles and his feet are rectangles and his shirt is a trapezoid of sorts. But really breaking it down to those simple shapes will help a lot with getting accuracy and creating a very nice silhouette. So I'm just finishing up that hat. Now I'm starting to add those secondary colors, starting to make some things highlighted and a little bit of shadow under his butt. It's really shadowed. His shirt has a few like wrinkles in it, I guess, or folds. So I make shadows for those and highlights on that. Just a really fun process, keeping it super loose, as you can tell with this round brush, so loose. That's one of the things that I like so much about it, is you're able to get some element of detail, but also you still are able to have a very loose, light feeling, which is a lot of fun. So I'm still going in. Now I'm really focusing on those details, creating a shadow under his hat, making his kind of facial expression, but then again, like, as you can see that I'm building it, it's so simple, so light, and does not have a lot of fine detail, but you're still able to get a facial expression, and you're able to get lighting and highlights and lowlights, and it's just a really cool brush to use. So going in on his pants details now, creating those stitch lines that go all the way up the side, his little chain, his rings and bracelets, just to make sure his character's essence is still captured. So I did that like that. Awesome. And right now I'm just adding an overlay of a paper texture, and I think I used 2 paper textures in this piece. I really think the texture adds so much more life to the image rather than having such a flat piece of paper, I guess, or flat surface. It gives it more depth and shadow and more realism while also playing on the digital aspect. So really cool stuff. Let's move on to the next one. It's like my favorite one. Ouch! Oh, I stubbed my toe. That hurt. Okay, so this next one is my favorite one that I've done this month. Just the way that the colors came together and the proportions is what I really focus on this piece. So let's go walk through it. All right, so you can see my reference image there. So I have a little lady walking in a bathing suit. I don't know where she is. Looks LA-esque, you know what I'm saying? But one thing I knew that was gonna be a challenge for me in this drawing was her proportions. I wanted to create a stylized silhouette rather than having something look more realistic. So I start off with just what I'm looking at. I see her body and I'm like, okay, the thighs goes there, hips go there, shoulders. Okay, I framed that all out. It wasn't until I felt that my proportions were really, really good and accurate that I decided to play with them and push them and move them along. I even put the picture closer just to make sure that I had those measurements correct, because anatomy is hard, especially since I'm not doing a pre-sketch. I'm just going straight in with the color. So I need a little bit of help with the proportions. But now that it's set, I'm starting to move her torso longer, starting to elongate those legs to really give it more character. Even at this point, her legs are like twice the size that they already were, and I think they get even longer. But I'm just color picking from this image because I really liked the colors that it came with. Throwing in that background, making it stylized, but also very, very loose and kind of still real to the image. I wanted to make sure those colors made sense. So right now I'm going into those really fine details. I've given her a very glam but relaxed facial expression. Eyelids are raised, eyebrows are raised, eyelids are low, mouth is closed type of look. Her shoulders are pushed up, her I guess movement is more dynamic. Yeah, and now I'm just throwing on that overlay and that overlay of paper and kind of finishing it up with the lighting and the texture, and getting her positioned exactly where I want her to be. But this came out so good. I really, really enjoyed this piece. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed really playing with the colors and just her form. The proportions were really fun to play with, and it also gave me a lot more confidence knowing that I can push and pull some proportions of the human anatomy without making it look crazy. It feels nice to know that I can create more of a stylized look in the way that I want without it looking, I guess, unrealistic, you know? There's a fine line there, and I feel like I found it. All right, on to the next one. Okay, this one was the first one that I did in this style this month. I just kind of saw a picture and I was like, I'm just gonna use that. I'm gonna use it as a reference. And I was like, oh, I'm also gonna just use the round brush, and it came out really well. And I was like, oh, I wanna do a bunch of these. So this was the first of its kind, and let's get into it. All right, so you can see the reference there. It's just a girl tying her shoe. I really liked the contrast of the red to the blue and the white background. Throwing in those flats, again, those simple shapes and forms, along with the color as well. I'm tired. But yeah, giving some shadows, making things look a little bit more refined on the edges, so it has a better silhouette of sharp, distinct, refined edges, so it doesn't look too blurry and muddy into the background. I find that using the round brush, strictly the round brush, can start to look muddy if I'm not careful of making sure I have some sections that are really pronounced and like sharp. Yeah, so you can see that I do that with her hair and the bottom of her shirt, just really adding in those nice fine details. Yeah, so giving her some bangs, making it kind of look like the reference but also look like my own. That's a really hard balance to find, but I figured the way that I wanted to do her profile was to create kind of that like fairy-esque nose that goes straight down to the mouth. I'm not exactly sure what aesthetic that is. I know I see it a lot in anime. I think mostly in anime where you have the little dip and whoop. But I did that because I thought it would look so good from the side, and it did. But yes, adding in those final details, that shadow, playing with the opacity of that shadow because it was too dark when I put it on, throwing on my overlays, and kind of finishing it up with some hearts. I didn't really know what to do, but I really liked it. Just a little heart on the top of her head. But yeah, that is her. I think she's so cute, and this piece really like catapulted me into this flavor of style. So yeah, one more to go. So this one is the most recent one that I've done, and I think you can see the growth compared from the first one that we just watched to this one. A lot of growth. And I did this one today, the day that I'm filming. And I really played with the colors a lot. I actually went in after and played with the saturation and brightness, but let's see how this goes. And yeah. Okay, so the picture I used has this beautiful salmon background, and I was like, that's the one, I want to use that. I find that I'm really attracted to just the color of the background. Very important, I think. But again, throwing in those shapes, and I feel like I got the silhouette so well on the first just pass that it just sped the whole process up. This took me, I think, about like 15 to 20 minutes. So that felt really nice to know I could pump something that looked so good out so fast. Yeah, throwing in some shadows in the pants, making things look more detailed as I go up. I felt like my other pieces were a bit distracting. Like there was too many details and some other places were not enough, but I really wanted to keep the eye moving forward to the chest and the jacket and the head area. So I brushed through the sneakers, brushed through the pants in a good loose but refined way. But when I go up to the jacket, I add more details, like more of the folds and more like character, because the jacket is so big. I wanted it to make sense. I didn't want it to look like a big blob of tan. So really focusing on those shadows there. That's where I spent a lot of my time when I did this one. I gave the shirt some details, threw in the shadow. Her face is really mostly covered and it gave a moody aesthetic. So I really just put in her lips kind of in a pouting shape, and I think it gave the character a lot of attitude. I added in some, so I played with the hue and the, sorry, not the hue. I played with the saturation and the brightness just to create a shadow on the front half of her body and a little bit more light coming from the back. At least that's how it is in the reference. But yeah, that was my most recent one. I think it came out really, really good, especially in comparison to the one that I had just started on. I felt like I put details in the perfect spots and not just all over the place, and it looks a lot more refined and stylized. So that was a lot of fun. All right, you guys, so that finishes up our 4 pieces of the round brush. I really intend to continue using the round brush and pushing my style and seeing what other things I can do with it. But as of right now, I feel like I've made a lot of progress, even just from my first piece to my last piece, and also that bathing suit piece just snaps for that, because that one came out so well. I didn't think it was gonna come out that good, but it really did. It's one of those trust the process type things. But I had a great time. I hope you guys learned something, and if not, I hope you guys just enjoyed watching. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe if you like my vibe. And feel free to check out my Instagram. I post like quick little, Procreate time lapses on there. If you feel free to check that out if you'd like. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and do a lot of art, be creative, get out there and exercise that creative spirit. But thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.